Why, hello everybody, how are you doing today, this fine day? How is your week going? What is this? What is this video that you just clicked upon? Well, if you are actively, viewing my channel and shit, you will know that I posted a bunch of posts that basically were telling people that this is my 100th video, and I was gonna celebrate by doing a Q&A, and you could text all kind of questions, and I was gonna write all your questions down and answer them in this Q&A, and that's what I'm gonna do right now. Now, I got 101 questions here, and I'm probably not gonna answer all of them because I don't want this video to be super long. I mean, I'm okay with it being like an hour, but I don't want it to be like an hour and a half, 2 hours long. So I'll answer as many of the questions as I can, and when I get to, an hour or so, I'll just stop answering. And maybe I'll answer the rest of the questions at a later date. And also, this is going to be a lot more of a laid-back video than I usually make. With it just being me talking to you guys, it's going to be a little more like a behind-the-scenes sort of thing. You are not currently talking to the character of Rougaverse that exists on the internet, but the actual person of Rougaverse as he is in real life. So, yeah, let's get started. What is a series that you think is overrated and underrated? Overrated is easy. The most overrated thing ever is Star Wars. I don't think that the original Star Wars trilogy is the greatest thing ever. I think it's good. I don't even really think A New Hope is all that good. I don't think the characters are written particularly well. I don't think they're acted particularly well. I think Obi-Wan is just a machine for exposition. I don't think that Darth Vader is the greatest villain ever made. I think that there are tons of villains that are better. Nurse Ratched from One Who Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest. Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men. Heath Ledger's Joker, I would even say, is better than him. I could probably name about 30 villains that I think are a lot better than Darth Vader. Honestly, to this day, I think the best Star Wars thing ever is probably the Coder games. Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, not the MMO. Fuck that MMO. Not that I think Star Wars is bad or anything, I just don't think it deserves this religious following that it's gotten. It's fine, like it's good. I enjoy it when I watch it, but at this point, especially with all the Disney shit, there's more bad shit in Star Wars than there's good shit. And I'm always confused when every new Star Wars thing comes out and people are like, oh, Star Wars is dead, you killed Star Wars. Like, bro, Star Wars has been dead for like 10 years at this point. Why are you guys still so uppity about it? Move on, there's other things. I moved on. Everybody praised the first season of Mandalorian like it was the greatest shit ever. I'm like, nah, I mean, it's fine. It wasn't even the best show that year, not even close. It was just the best Star Wars thing that had come out in quite some time up to that point, but I don't really think it was ever the greatest thing. Oh, fuck. I just started this video and I know I lost like half the audience right there. The other thing I think is overrated is Marvel and DC comics. I think Marvel and DC have some of the worst written comics just in existence. I think the constant reboots, characters not having the same characterization, they're constantly being changed and altered, and then any character development they go through always gets reverted back to how they were originally, so nothing that ever happens ever even really fucking matters. The constant political pandering and pushing that they do in all of their shit, how they basically have more activists there than they have regular people writing the goddamn comic. There's just so much bad shit in Marvel and DC, and it really annoys me that that's what people see as American comic book writing, because there is so much better shit outside of Marvel and DC. Fuck, like Saga, for instance. Saga is a really great comic book that people outside of comics don't know anything about. Hellboy is an amazing comic. People know him from the movies, but nobody really reads the Hellboy comics. They're amazing. If you go to any list online, like top 10 greatest comic book characters of all time, literally the entire list will be made up of Marvel and DC characters, and I don't think that there's a single character in all of Marvel and DC that I would put on a top 50 list of best characters in comics. They're inconsistent as fuck and just not very well written, generally speaking. So that's one question down. Jesus Christ, I am not getting through all 100 of these questions. That is a fact. So next question, if you were to create a character, what would you give them? I'm assuming you mean like power or ability that I would give them. Okay, so for one, I have created many characters. I was a professional writer for like, I don't know, 6-7 years. And I wrote a ton of different characters, and I gave them all sorts of different powers, and I don't really have one particular power that I would give any particular person. Basically, it just depends on what story you're telling. You have to look at the story, what you're trying to say, the themes of that story, the character that you're creating, and what that character's purpose in the story is, and then you give them a power. Usually what I like to do is give a character a power that sort of fits his personality and generally what I'm trying to convey with his character. I'm not going to give any examples right now because all the examples I think of is actually from a comic book that I'm currently writing. So I'm not going to do that right now, but it really depends. I've made a bunch of characters in the past with a bunch of different crazy abilities and powers, and I'm going to make a bunch more characters in the future with a bunch of different crazy powers and abilities. The purpose of giving a character powers is not to just make them as strong as humanly possible. It's to convey something to the audience and to tell a story. That comes first. Way too often do writers just create characters for the sole purpose of making them as powerful as humanly fucking possible. It's just not the way to write a story. What got you into scaling any character in particular? I am not into scaling. I'm not a scaler. I've said this several occasions in comments and videos. I do not scale. People and scalers and stuff who come to my video and bitch and complain that I got my information wrong are not getting the joke. The Would You Survive videos are not about scaling. They are about bringing characters together from different stories and seeing how they will react to one another. All the scaling stuff that I do is specifically meant to make fun of scalers. All the math in my videos are fucking wrong as shit on purpose, because scalers just make up fucking math and do wrong math that they find on the internet that they think is right. I can't tell you how many times I've seen things like Death Battle and shit where you look at the math and if you actually correct their math, it's just fucking wrong and nobody cares. Like that you just cheat the math to try and make the characters as powerful as humanly possible. My Would You Survive videos have 3 purposes, and in order of importance they are entertainment and to make you laugh. That's number 1. Number 2 is to explore these characters as characters and to see what they would do in a particular situation. That's the part that interests me. Third and lastly is to make fun of scalers. Those are the 3 things. What you do not see on that list is scaling accuracy, because I don't give a fuck about the scaling. It's not important to me. One of my favorite things is to make the video and then see people who take this shit way too seriously bitch and complain in the comments section about how I was wrong, not getting the joke that I'm making fun of them. That is the funniest shit in the world to me. And there's another question on this list that I'll just get to now because it's relevant, and it's, why do you dislike scalers so much? I don't dislike a person who scales. I dislike the scaling community, but I don't really like any community. Like, for instance, gays are fine. A gay person is cool. Multiple gays are cool. The gay community are a bunch of fucking over-controlling, sensitive assholes. That's just sort of what happens when any community forms. They come together, they form all their little fucking rules, and anybody who does not abide by the rules that they just fucking made up gets ousted, and they're like the outcasts of this community. Every dude from all the way back in all of the history of time, from the very first cavemen who argued that a velociraptor can beat a saber-toothed tiger in a fight, have talked about who would kick whose ass in a fictional fight. That is a very common thing that every dude talks about. And it doesn't even matter what age you are. You can be a child or you can be a grown fucking man. These are conversations that you have. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of internet assholes who don't get out enough decide to come up and then make a bunch of fucking rules about how you're supposed to do this thing that they didn't invent. And now everybody else has to follow these bullshit rules that they made up that aren't based in anything, and then pretend like it's in some way tied to actual scientific theories. It's not. Dimensionality is a real scientific theory, and that's what the scalers say when they talk about dimensional tiering. But it doesn't work in any way like how they describe it in dimensional tiering. They're not even kind of similar, but just the fact that dimensionality exists in theoretical sciences, that means that any way they try to just enforce their dimensionality bullshit rules, we now all must follow. And if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. They ostracize you, they make fun of you, they fuck with you, and it's just like, fuck you guys. There are a bunch of authoritarian killjoys that sucked all the fun out of the conversation, and hopefully, I've brought a little bit of fun back into it. That's really all I care about. If I can make people laugh, and specifically make people laugh at the expense of a bunch of online bullies and shit talkers who are just making up a bunch of shit in forums and dictating that they are the end-all be-all of that particular thing, then, that's cool with me. I'm fine with it. And it, to a large extent, seems like the people who watch my videos is building considerably because they're people who are leaving that scaling community, who are sick of being basically ostracized and made fun of and joked about and shit on for something as stupid as just talking about 2 fictional characters fighting. It's not that serious. My problem isn't scalers. My problem is assholes and bullies. I don't like them. But yes, the scaling in all of my videos, it's all bullshit, because it is all bullshit. This is fictional stuff. It's all fictional. Fictional means not real. That's what it means. So yes, long answer for a short question. No, I'm not a scaler. I don't scale. I just like having fun conversations with people about who would beat who and just having, you know, like a normal conversation. I do not belong in the same category as a lot of these other shitty scaling channels. Some guy, I don't remember his name, made a video about me talking about how I was like the worst scaler on YouTube, and I just kind of laughed. It was like, you didn't get the joke. So you are one of the people that my channel makes fun of. And by you taking what I'm saying so seriously, you just showed that you didn't get the joke. My videos are satire. They are not made to be taken seriously. What characters do you find to be deceptively powerful, especially when comparing gameplay to lore? I'm gonna pick the obvious answer, Kratos. Kratos, if you just play the game and don't read any of the backstory shit, it's a completely different level of power. Like, you would not think through playing the game that this dude can like crush universes. This to me is the most obvious example. Like, even if you don't read the novels where he's even more powerful and just read the lore of the game, he's more powerful. I think you can argue all the FromSoft games are also around there, like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, I think you could say, because literally everything is in the lore. That's another one that's like super deceptively powerful. What is your favorite fight you have ever been in / seen? Oh, fuck. I don't know. I've been in so many. If you haven't been on my channel for a while, I've talked about it before. I grew up in an odd situation. I've been a drug dealer. I've been an enforcer for a pimp for a little while. I've had a lot of strange jobs, and it required me to fight a lot. But even before that, I got into tons of fights in school. I've been to 13 schools. Most of that is for me being kicked out for fighting. It's a common thing that I fight a lot. I made 2 videos, which I think they're called Confessions from a Real Delinquent or something like that, where I talk about real stories that happened in my life when I was younger and different sort of violent situations that occurred. I don't know what my favorite fight that I've been in. I guess my favorite, well, okay, so my favorite fight that it doesn't really count because it's a real fight, but it's not like a fight that you're trying to like kill the other person, so I don't really count it as a real fight. I was fighting with a friend of mine, and he's a really big, beefy black dude, and we got into a fight, and the fight lasted, I don't remember how long, 5 or 6 minutes, and it ended with me trying to put him in an arm bar, which you don't try to put a man in an arm bar who can bench like 350 pounds, but I did. And he lifted me up and smashed me on the ground, and his elbow went into my solar plexus and knocked the fucking wind out of me. But then he was so exhausted after wrestling with me for that long that he just collapsed. And then he's like, I'm done. And then I got up and I was just like, yeah, bitch, I win. And I could like barely fucking breathe. And it was like I clearly didn't win, but it was just that was like a fun fight that we were really hitting each other and shit. Like, we were really fighting, but it was just like with a friend, so who gives a fuck? But then, you know, as far as real fights, I don't know. The favorites would be the ones where I win, obviously. Like, that's where the favorite is, you know. Yeah, I don't have a favorite. There's too many. I've been in like 30 fights in 2 weeks. You know, I can't just pick one fight that's my favorite. Fights usually aren't the best thing to be in the first place. And while I can't lie and say that I've never enjoyed a real fight that I've been into, you don't get in as many fights as I've been into if you don't at least enjoy it to some extent. That doesn't necessarily, you know, mean that I have a favorite. Are you from the South? Yes, I am from Southern Louisiana. I have been told on several occasions in my comment section that my accent is fake. No, it is not fake. It is exaggerated at times for humorous effect, but it's not fake. It's a real accent. It's not really from Southern Louisiana, which is kind of funny. I've worked as an electrician and other jobs. I've had all sorts of weird jobs all across the South, mostly in Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. And my accent is sort of like an amalgamation of all those different places, as well as my mom actually being from the North, and she came down and she sort of brought her kind of accent, and that's a little bit in there too. Sometimes people in the South will say, like, I don't sound like I'm from the South, I sound like I'm from the North, because a couple of my words end up sounding like sort of like Pennsylvania area, you know, which is where she's from. So yeah, I mean, if someone says that my accent sounds fake, it's not fake, it's just an amalgamation of, like, you know, 6 different accents. What is the most infuriating case of versus Battle Wiki being wrong? None. I don't really get infuriated with versus Battle Wikis. Like, me getting pissed off about other scaling shit, it's a part of the joke. Like, other people get so mad about this. I don't find this that important to get mad about it. Like, if you want to ask, like, what I think the most wrong thing is, I mean, in my opinion, versus Battle, like, is wrong all across the board. One of the most like egregious examples was when they used to have Kratos at Country. But yeah, for the most part, yeah, I mean they're wrong all the time, but who cares? It's fine. Like I don't take this shit that seriously. I talk about this kind of stuff for fun because it's something fun to do. And I don't get furious with people. When you hear me like ranting in my videos, it's for entertainment value. It's because I'm making fun of other scalers who do this kind of stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, I am a loud, boisterous person who like gets excited about things and says, but it's not like genuine rage that I feel at other people for thinking that a character is more strong or less strong than another person. It's all just part of the joke. What has been your most controversial take or video? Super easy, the fucking Warframe video, hands down. It's the video that has the lowest like percentage, I guess. What do you call it? Like ratio. It's got the lowest one, although having said that, my lowest like ratio is like 92%, so it's still pretty fucking high. And the comment section is just ripping me the fuck apart. It's got more comments than any other video that I've ever made, despite the fact that it doesn't have the most views. It doesn't even have half as many views as my most viewed video, and yet it has like 3 times the amount of comments. People got really fucking upset about that video. And it's basically, I mean, I explain it in the video, but essentially I was trying to get somebody else who knew Warframe to come on, because a lot of people were asking me to do Warframe. So I'm like, all right, I'll do Warframe. So I'll get someone to come on who knows Warframe and I'll have a conversation with them. Nobody answered any of my messages. I didn't have a lot of subscribers at the time, and I couldn't get anyone to come on. Like, I messaged people like Korg the Mighty, I believe was one of the people that I messaged. I forget the names of a lot of them, but I messaged a bunch of different people asking them, hey, you want to come and make a thing with me, and we'll do this thing. And no one replied back. So I had to do it myself. So I spent like a week trying to sort of do some research, and I played the game. I played through a large portion of the game, and I thought I had a relatively decent grasp. I did say in the video when I started that I'm not a Warframe player, and that I kind of spent a week trying to understand it, but there's a lot of this shit that's probably gonna be wrong. And it was like super fucking wrong. It just was. Having said that, most of the comments that are shitting on me were also wrong, because I do know more about Warframe now than I did then. The people who are arguing with me are wrong about Warframe. They're wanking the fuck out of it, and they're wrong about Doom. Again, that's fine. I'm not gonna get mad about it, but like, yeah, they were really angry. Kind of wanted to make a part 2 and make it even more wrong to just see how much more angry I can get them, you know? Am I a shit starter? I feel like I might be a bit of a shit starter. What topics did you professionally write about in college? Okay, so for people who don't know what the fuck this question is talking about, I've said it in the past. I've also said it on the Discord server. I used to write professionally, and when I say professionally, I mean I used to sell screenplays for money. So that's what I mean by professionally. Like, no one hired me to do so. I would write screenplays and I would sell them to college students who were making their thesis films, and they would buy the screenplays off of me, make their thesis films, and then, you know, that would be that. I've written screenplays for many different local filmmaking sort of competitions and what do you call them, film fests and stuff. Like, I've written scripts for the 48-hour film festivals. I've gotten some awards from for writing and different things. I used to write quite a bit. I basically put myself through college by selling screenplays to people. That's what they're referring to when they say what I wrote about. And what did I write about? 3 things: comedy, drama, and horror. And that is because they were screenplays, which means you had to constantly think about how expensive it would be to actually make those movies. And dramas, comedies, and horrors are the cheapest things to make. So that's pretty much entirely what I wrote. You can make a horror movie with 1 person in 1 room, and you can make a comedy and a drama with 2 people in 1 room, and you can write the whole story that way. It is super fucking cheap. How long did it take you to gain traction on YouTube? This sort of has 2 different answers. So I started, my first ever video was posted, I don't know, like December of 2022 or something like that. I don't remember. Point is, I didn't really get into it when I first did the YouTube channel. It was literally just a reason for me to wake up in the morning. So I would post 1, maybe 2 videos a month, if that, and they were shitty and I didn't care about their quality, and they weren't about anything specific. They were just about anything I wanted to talk about. So they could be, you know, political, or they could be about a game or a movie, or they could be about just something I noticed that day. Like, they were like, you can't even see most of those videos. I hid a lot of them because they're not really relevant to what I'm currently doing. But yeah, they weren't anything important. So for about 9 months or something, I did that, and I didn't really take it seriously or put any effort into it. And in those 9 months, I got like 90 subs. And then at one point I posted a video that I actually did put a little bit of effort into, and that video got way more views. And I was like, oh shit, okay. Maybe I should, like, I don't know, try. And that was last November. I want to say, is what, like almost a year, not quite. It might have been like 9 months or something after I made my first video, 8 or 9 months. And that video did relatively well. So I just started pumping videos out after that to just see if I could do well. And from that point, everything just started rocketing. My video just started getting 10, 20,000 views every time I posted. And that's kind of been the case. It did eventually drop. There were like downside parts, but that was because I personally decided to shift focus to something else. So I originally made a Tekken video that exploded, so I started making a bunch of Tekken videos, and then I became a Tekken channel, but I didn't want to be a Tekken channel. And when I decided to change to something that wasn't Tekken related, my views went down, but I did that on purpose because I didn't want to be a Tekken channel, and I started making a channel about something else. And then I got another big spike like a week or two after that. And then people started wanting that stuff, and I kept doing that, but then I wanted to do other things. Basically, I get bored with stuff and move on to something else, and every time I move on, the spike of my viewership goes away. If I would still be a Tekken channel now as I was back when I first exploded back in November, my channel would probably be 3-4 times bigger than it is now. I don't like doing the same thing for super long periods of time, so it's gonna keep rebooting, basically. I'm cool with survival challenges for right now, mainly because it gives me a lot of opportunity to talk about a bunch of different things. I'm not just talking about one topic. I don't have to talk about video games or comics. I can talk about novels, I can talk about whatever. I don't even necessarily have to be survival challenges. It could be just different cool story-related challenges in the form of survival challenges. There's a lot of cool stuff I can do with the survival challenges, so I'm okay with staying here for a little bit, but yeah, eventually I'm gonna want to put other stuff in and talk about other things. And you could tell if you go to my channel and you look at, I made a video about Cape Crusader, the Batman show, and I made a Thanos video that were not survivals. And you could see the viewership that those have compared to the viewership of my survival challenges. And they're not comparable at all. Like, the survival challenges get significantly more. So if I try to skew again away from the survival challenges to try something new, my viewership's gonna drop again. Super long answer, but basically, whenever I try to do something, I get a massive spike in views and my channel blows up. If I just don't give a shit and I change up how I'm doing things, it drops. The actual timeline is about 8 months and then my channel exploded. But in reality, when I actually put effort into the channel, it pretty much exploded the same month, and it pretty much continues to explode the same month every time I swap to something new and do that thing for like a few weeks, it explodes. I don't know why, because I hear people who have channels for literally years and their shit never fucking explodes like that. But I've had 3 wildly different topics that my channel has focused on, and all 3 of those wildly different topics have caused my channel to have some sort of massive spike in views. So I don't know, something I'm doing right. I just don't know what that is. You have a very unique way of talking. Would you consider yourself a voice actor since you narrate your own video? Fuck no, absolutely not am I a voice actor. Okay, so just to be clear, if you go back and watch my old videos, I sound and behave completely differently. And that is because I have massive, massive levels of stage fright. I don't like talking in front of crowds. I don't like talking in front of people. It's a weird psychological thing that happens in my brain. I don't actually like being praised by people. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Like, I think it's because of my younger years of fighting and constantly having people hate me and shit, where I feel comfortable if I'm in a room of people who hate me, but if I'm in a room of people who are praising me, it's very odd. I don't like it. I don't like being in front of people. I don't like being on a stage. I don't like any of that shit. Calling me an actor, I can't be possibly called an actor. I just don't have that ability. Also, I can do a couple voices here and there, but I'm not like, what's that dude, the main guy in Critical Role who can do like thousands of different voices, and he can change his inflections, and he sounds like totally different people. He can sound like a woman if he wants to be, and like he can really bring emotion into his voice. No, I can't do all that. Maybe I can get away with some voice acting possibly and be okay at it, but I'm not a voice actor. I'm not trying to be a voice actor. I took some acting classes in college and realized how terrible I was at acting, and that I can't be in front of a crowd and like do things. Like, no, I'm good where I am. I much prefer being behind the camera and writing the scripts and forming the stories and talking to actors and telling them how to do their job that they can do better than me, and I'll stick to my job, what I'm good at, which is, story. Why did you start a YouTube channel? Because I was homeless and I didn't have a job. So basically, when was it? What year was it? Whenever I started my YouTube channel, whatever that, I don't remember the exact date. I want to say it was December of 2022. I think that's right, because it might have been early 2023 when I actually started doing this. Anyway, point is, I didn't have a job, and I'm usually used to wake up, like, okay, I have trouble staying still. I have to be active at all times. I have to be moving either my mind or my body. I don't like staying still. So I lost my job because of a bunch of different things, layoffs and stuff like this, and COVID, and there wasn't a lot of work going on. And I went from waking up every morning at 4 a.m. and going straight to work to not having anything to do that day. So I would wake up, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and then just kept getting pushed back and back. And then before I know it, I'm waking up at fucking 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, Jesus, dude, my whole morning's gone. And I was getting lazy, and I wasn't going to the gym, and I wasn't doing any of the things that I am normally used to doing. And I just felt like I was becoming like a wasteful, just blob of nothing that was just sucking from society. I was no longer the paranoid, productive homeless person who was homeless because he doesn't like the government, but now I was like a literal, not working homeless person who was sucking off the government. I was the type of homeless person I didn't like, and I had to do something to get myself productive so that I could actually, do shit. And I decided to start making YouTube videos because I had like a $70 laptop and I had a phone. So I was like, all right, let's just start making fucking videos. And I started like couch surfing and making a video here and there. And basically, making a video gave me a reason to wake up in the morning. I would schedule that I had to make a video, so I would get up at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning because this is what I had to do, and I had something to do that day. It doesn't matter how much of it I did, I just had to wake up at this time and do this thing. And that's it. It was just an excuse to get me out of bed so I didn't become a bum while I was off of work. That's it. That's why I made it was a hobby that forced me to wake up. That is what I did it for. I never expected for it to make me any money. I didn't care if it made me any money. It was simply something to do. What is your favorite thing you have talked about on the channel, and what is something you would like to cover that you haven't? Okay, so I don't really do favorites. Like, I don't have a favorite food or a favorite movie or a favorite game or a favorite character. There's just so much good shit out in the world. Why would anyone limit themselves by saying what the favorite? How could anyone even just pick one thing and be like, that's my favorite? I don't have a favorite. I'm not even sure if I'd be able to give you a top 10 list of things. I just love a lot of shit. As far as the things that I've covered, I don't know. Like, I like Doom Eternal. I think it's a really awesome shooter. I enjoy it. I really like Mass Effect. I really like Killing Floor. I really like a lot of shit that I've covered, but I don't know what my favorite is. I'm not really sure. As for things that I would like to cover that I haven't, I actually have a list on my phone. It's in my notes that literally says shit I should cover more, and it's a list of like 200 fucking things. And there's a lot. There's a lot on there. There's like old HBO shows like The Sopranos and shit. There's like movies and games. There's novels on there that I would have liked to talk about but haven't. There's all kinds of wacky shit on there that I would like to cover at some point. But a lot of them wouldn't really fit in a survival challenge sort of situation. So I'd have to make it outside of a survival challenge as well. Like one of my favorite books of all time is Treasure Island. I love Treasure Island, and Long John Silver is a fantastic fucking character. I would really love to talk about Treasure Island and Long John Silver, but I mean, what am I gonna do that in a survival challenge? I'm gonna have Long John Silver get into a fucking sword fight with Jack Sparrow. I could do that. I might be able to do that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but I don't know. It's a lot of stuff. It's way too much to name. Do you like the movie Shrek? Yes, Shrek 2 is better though. What is your favorite alternate version of a character? Okay, I don't like alternate versions of characters. I'm just gonna be honest. I really don't like it. I think that you have your main character, like Batman. If I'm gonna read a Batman story, I wanna read a Batman story. I don't want to read Vampire Batman or about Batman's fucking dad, who was more violent than I think it's stupid. Batman is Batman because he would become Batman. Bruce Wayne becomes Batman. If Bruce had died in that alley instead of Thomas would not become Batman, because that's what Bruce would do. That's part of Bruce's character. If literally anyone you can kill could then become Batman, then Bruce isn't his own character. It's just something that anyone can do it at any time based on whatever the writer wants. Like, how the fuck, the Joker's a very specific character. How the fuck is Martha Wayne gonna suddenly become the Joker? Like, that's so stupid. If I wanna read Spider-Man, I wanna read about Spider-Man. I don't wanna read about Spider-Man 2099. I don't wanna read about Miles Morales. I wanna read about Peter Parker Spider-Man because that is Spider-Man. This whole thing where anyone can be Spider-Man isn't true, because Spider-Man is a extremely self-sacrificing person to the point that he will live in absolute wallowing misery as long as he can help other people. That is not something that every everybody can do. The vast majority of humans can't do that. That is exceptional. And the idea that you're going to take this exceptional character and just pretend that anyone can do it is not right. I don't think that that's a good thing. It's not a good message for kids if you're writing a kid's comic book. And I don't think it's accurate. It's okay to have heroes for kids to wish to aspire to be, but never quite reach that aspirations. Stop saying that every kid can be every hero. Say that they should aspire to be those heroes. I know that part doesn't really have anything to do with the question, but yeah. Generally speaking, I don't like alternate versions of here. I think it was done once really well, where Wally West took over for Barry Allen, because you know it was a tragic thing. He died. Wally West came up, became the new Flash, and took on his mantle. But now they're doing it with so many other fucking characters. Like there's fucking multiple Superman, multiple Batman, and multiple Spider-Man, and like it's just, and now it's stupid. There shouldn't be two Spider-Man existing within the same city at the same time. That's dumb. Miles Morales, when he was introduced, should have gotten his own name, his own costume, his own theme. He could have been in the Spider-Man comics. He could have been an arachnid-like hero, but he didn't have to be fucking Spider-Man. That was stupid. Spider-Man is Spider-Man. Miles Morales is just a gimmick so that you can make Spider-Man black. It's dumb. For people who've only watched the movie and haven't actually read the comics, I get it. In the movies, he's better and it's cool, fine. In the comics, he's just a shittier, less interesting version of Peter Parker, and it sucks, and I hate him. What is your favorite moment when a character is pushed too far? Like I said, don't really do favorites. There's a lot of stuff I could say. The first one that pops in my head is from the show Oz on HBO. So it's a prison show about like a bunch of different murderers and rapists and just absolute fucking monsters in prison. They all have like lifelong sentences and shit. And there's a character called Beecher who's introduced at the very beginning as like the new guy of the prison, and he instantly gets basically raped by a Nazi and then like turned into the prison bitch. Like he is this evil Nazi dude played by J.K. Simmons, by the way. And he rapes the shit out of him for a whole season. He forces him to wear makeup and wear dresses and parades him in front of the whole prison. He just like, he's the prison bitch. This new dude you watch in the season as this normal guy, this normal nerdy like accountant guy. No, I think he's a lawyer. I think Breacher's a lawyer. Anyway, this lawyer guy, just like wearing glasses and kind of very geeky and just a regular family guy who only went to jail because he accidentally killed a little girl while he was driving drunk, and he regrets it terribly. He's like not an evil person. And for the whole first season, he's the prison bitch. It's really kind of hard to watch. And then in season 2, he finally fucking snaps because the prison Nazi guy, J.K. Simmons, goes a little bit too far with something that he does with him, and Beecher just chucks a fucking chair at him through a window, and the glass goes all over his face and cuts his face up, and they get into this big fight. And then he goes into not Beecher, but the Nazi guy. He goes into solitary, and Beecher has like weeks without him, and Beecher just he starts working out again. Like he just loses his fucking mind. And then when the Nazi gets out of prison, he's all like, when I see Beecher, I'm gonna fucking kill him. And then he sees Beecher and he goes to attack him, and Beecher beats the living shit out of him instantly, just straight line. Like the moment he sees him, he goes and he beats the shit out of the Nazi, and then he shits on his face. He just does crazy shit after crazy shit. At one time, someone tries to get Beecher to suck their dick in prison, and he goes and he bites their dick like off, like he bites the tip of his dick off. It gets to the point that like the Nazi starts to try and hire a bunch of professional killers in the prison to go after Beecher, and they're all like, oh, I'm not fucking with him. That dude's fucking nuts. And Beecher just does progressively more insane shit until he's essentially the most feared person, or one of the most feared people in the entire prison. Like he went from prison bitch to most feared dude in the prison over the course of a season, and the entire first season is just build up watching this dude suffer. He's like a side character to eventually becoming basically the main character of the entire show, and he's a beast, and it's awesome. So that's definitely a good one. I don't know if it's my favorite or the best. I'd have to sit down and think about it, but that's a really good one. Who are your favorite YouTubers / inspirations? So this is going to be kind of funny. I don't really use YouTube outside of the YouTube channel. I don't have any inspirations. I probably couldn't really name you a single YouTube. Well, that's not true. I know like IGN, and there's certain things I could tell you. Like I'll go on YouTube to watch reviews for movies and games and shit. But that's really about it, just to see if I want to buy something. I don't spend a particularly large amount of time on YouTube. The vast majority of my time on YouTube is dealing with my own personal channel. And if you look at my watch history on YouTube, it's mostly my own videos, because I'll upload my video and then I'll watch it completely just to make sure there's no mistakes, or to make sure like it didn't upload wrong or whatever. And that's it. And then I might like watch a video of someone like giving a game's first impressions before the game releases, like a couple months. Like I've been watching a lot of stuff recently about what do you call it, Black Myth Wukong, just to see how is that game looking. And apparently it's looking pretty good. It's got some buggy issues, but it seems like people are liking it. So I've been watching a lot of that. That's really about it. I don't have inspirations, and I don't really watch YouTube all that much, despite being someone who makes money off of YouTube. It's kind of funny. What is your favorite class of anime that you watch? I'm assuming you mean genre when you say class. Well, okay, so for me, the thing that anime does better than anything else is the action. Like action animation in anime is superior to pretty much any form of animation. I don't think the stories are necessarily superior. I don't think really anything else is necessarily superior except for the actual action. I'm not saying they can't be good in story and stuff. I'm not saying they're bad, but where they just excel at is the action. So that's generally what I'll watch. If I watch an anime, it's usually going to be a shonen or a seinen or something with fight scenes and action and stuff like that. That's the shit that I find cool in anime. So yeah, seinen and shonen mostly. What fictional character are you down bad for? Sorry to disappoint you guys, but I'm not attracted to like cartoon characters or comic characters or video game characters. Like I like real women, so I'm gonna be attracted to real women, not characters, not fictional characters. And I'm in my 30s, so I'm not really gonna be down bad. Like it's sort of to the point where once you get to this point, you don't get down bad for you. You're just like, you admire beauty and you love beauty and things like that, but in order for you to be down bad for someone, they have to grab you with more than just their physical appearance. Like you actually have to have a reason to care for them more than just that. But as far as like people who I find extremely attractive, I think Anya Taylor-Joy is gorgeous. There's another one, Samara Weaving was another one who I thought was really, really beautiful. Do I have a thing for blondes? I might have a thing for blondes. Well, no, Jenna Ortega is very beautiful. I think Jenna Ortega is extremely attractive. I would have a thing for Jenna Ortega if I met her in real life. She's also very, very beautiful. Yeah, but it's all gonna be real people. It's not going to be down bad. It's just going to be people that I think are good looking. And that's it. What Pringles flavor is your favorite? Okay, this is a blasphemic as fuck question, right? No one ever should have a favorite Pringle flavor because they're not meant to be eaten alone, all right? Because I've talked to a bunch of people about this in real life, and they seem to be unaware. The reason why the Pringles are shaped like that, so that you can stack them, it's not so that you could stack a bunch of the same fucking flavors on top of each other. You're supposed to buy different packs with different flavors, and then stack those different flavors on each other to make new combinations of flavors. So you go and get the pizza Pringles, and then you go and get the, I don't know, sour cream and onion Pringles, and then you stack a pizza Pringle with a sour cream and onion. That's how the Pringles work. That's why they're stackable. So you stack multiple flavors. If you're not stacking multiple flavors, and what I'm telling you sounds like I'm speaking fucking Chinese, you've never heard this before, you're not eating the Pringles right. I'm very passionate about food, okay? Go to the store. If you're a Pringle eater, go to the store, buy a couple different flavors of Pringles that are your favorites that you think would go good together, stack them together, eat them. Congratulations, you have for the first time in your life eaten Pringles correctly. What exactly is the Rougaverse? Okay, so I was asked this quite a few times, and I'm sorry if I haven't made this clear enough to people, but basically I am writing a comic book. This is something that I've wanted to do for a long time, but I never really actually did it because I didn't know exactly what I would do once the comic book was written. I didn't have anyone to sell it to. I didn't know any comic publishing companies or how to contact them. I didn't really know how to go about it. I'm not in the comic book publishing world, so I just never really did it. But when I had a bunch of people join my Discord, we played this sort of fun game where everyone in the Discord had their own character and were like in some way related to other characters. Like, you know, this mod was like this god of this universe, and this person over here was like a leader of a faction of this you know, group or whatever. And then out of fun, I started writing stories about all of these different people and their different little fictional characters and shit. And it sort of expanded, and now I'm writing a comic book about this sort of universe that we made on the Discord channel. If you go to the Discord channel and you interact with it, you'll probably have a character based on you put in the story at some point. The idea is that eventually this will get made into an actual graphic novel or a series of graphic novels, probably through Kickstarter or something else. We already have an artist who's drawing concept art for it and shit. That's what you see flashing on screen right now. None of the concept art that you're seeing is actually finalized. They're just very early concepts. And yeah, right now I'm outlining and writing out the first arc of the comic, and this is something that we plan on doing at some point. And once it's done, we're going to sell it in comic book shops over a market that I'll probably open up for the YouTube channel, and it's gonna be like a thing. Not me, but people in the Discord have coined it the Rougaverse. So that's what we're calling it for now. It's a placeholder name. It's going to eventually have like an actual name. I'm not going to keep calling it the Rougaverse, but that's just sort of what we're calling it so far. But yes, the channel, me, are writing a comic book based on people who are fans of the channel and things like that. And it's this massive, big fantasy setting, fantasy sci-fi setting. And it's based in a universe that used to have gods, these benevolent gods who were good and pure, and they were trying to build a universe and make this sort of perfect utopia, but mortals were a pain in the ass and kept like wanting to kill each other and steal from each other and be shitty, and eventually the gods just got fed up and left the fucking universe, and now you're in a universe that is godless, where there's really no purpose to life at all. That's the world that we find ourselves in, and the main character essentially has to find purpose in a world without gods or any real purpose. And I've already created a main character, and I started writing the first arcs that's gonna start with, and there's villains, and there's fucking factions, and planets, and city, and lore. There's a whole list of lore pages that I've released on the Discord that people can go in, you can read it. It's not hidden at all. You just read all the lore pages you want to read and sort of refresh yourself on when the eventual story comes out. This is way far in the future. This is actually going to come out. It's just something we're sort of working on very early stages right now. And yes, that's what the Rougaverse is. If you want to be a part of it, if you want to kind of see it evolve over time or whatever, join the Discord. It's going to be in the description. It's also going to be in a pinned comment to this video. Check it out if you're interested. Because at some point I would like this to be an ongoing comic book series that you can read, you know, once a month or however long it takes me to release each one of them, you know. And that's it. That's the Rougaverse. You want more information? Go to the Discord. Favorite video game weapons. First one that comes on my head is Red Queen. That is a cool fucking weapon from Devil May Cry. That's Nero's sword. So it's a big fucking sword with like a motorcycle crank on the handle, so that when he cranks it, it ignites in fire and gets more powerful. And that's just the idea of cranking a massive fucking sword to power it up like a motorcycle is really fucking cool. Look, I'm sorry. I know people like the Blades of Chaos. I know people like, you know, Star Wars lightsabers. No, a massive fucking sword with a motorcycle crank on it is so much cooler and more metal than any of that other shit. So that's the first one that pops in my head. How old are you? 30s? I don't know the exact age. I stopped keeping track a long time ago. I don't really remember. Like, most days will go by and I don't actually celebrate my birthday because I forget that my birthday is coming up. So it's just not something I worry about. I probably haven't kept track of my age since high school, which was the last time other people kept track of my age. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm over 30. Do you like duck? Yes, duck's awesome. It's all dark meat, and dark meat is better than white meat. So yes, I like duck. What's your favorite dinosaur? Bro, I couldn't give you the name of like any dinosaurs. I know the Tyrannosaurus, I know the Brachiosaurus, I know Triceratops. Most dinosaurs I don't know the name of. My favorite, off the top of my head. Okay, what's that one that spits in the fat dude with glasses face in Jurassic Park? It's got the brill that like opens up and goes, and then it spits the fucking acid shit, or that one's pretty cool. Well, I'll pick that one. That one's cool. What is one series you've wanted to get into, but for whatever reason haven't? Oh, that's easy. Judge Dredd. I've read a few issues of Judge Dredd. I really love the concept of the character, and the issues that I read, I really enjoy. But every time I try to get into it and read the comics, I just see how many comics there are, and I just, no. Shit's longer than One Piece. I'm not getting into the fucking Judge Dredd. And unlike One Piece, there isn't like a show I can binge to catch up with it for the most part. It's just too long. Judge Dredd is probably my favorite character that I know the least about, if that makes any sense. Like, out of the characters I know nothing about, I really love Judge Dredd. Are you going to ignore this question? No. What is your favorite video game genre? I'll tell you, the ones I play mostly are RPGs and action games. Things like the original God of War series, Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, Ninja Gaiden. Like I said, I'm pretty excited for Black Myth Wukong. Mostly RPGs and action games. But as for favorites, I don't know which one's my favorite, but yeah, those are the ones that I lean to the most. As far as least favorites, I don't care at all for sports games. If I want to play a sport, I'll go outside. I don't want to play any sports games. I don't like sports games. That would also include racing. Although I did like Burnout, but that's because it's not racing. It's smashing cars and other cars and killing them. So they added something new that I can't do in real life. Have you had experience in martial arts or weapon training? Yes, I have a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo, a first-degree black belt in Hapkido. I have studied boxing, kickboxing, and to a lesser degree, Greco-Roman wrestling and karate. So overall 6 fighting styles. These also include things like nunchucks, bow staves, sais, all different kinds of weapons that came with those types of fighting, as well as I've been shooting guns since as long as I can remember, and I'm a pretty damn decent shot. How are you feeling about doing survival challenges? Do you want to keep doing this, or would you like to branch out into other videos? I'm okay with doing the survival challenges. I don't hate it, because like I said, it allows me a wide variety of different topics that I could sort of talk about in the guise of a survival challenge. Like, I could talk about series that I otherwise wouldn't talk about and then blend that into a survival challenge. Or, you know, I could talk about characters, I could talk about storylines or what if storylines, that what would happen if these characters go into here. And that's really the main point of survival challenges. So it gives me a lot of freedom. But yes, I absolutely would like to go in and talk about other things as well, not just survival challenges. Eventually, I'm gonna get bored and I'm gonna wanna move on. And when I do, my viewer count is going to fucking plummet. But I mean, it's just a matter of time. I don't think I'm ever gonna not do survival challenges. Like, I'm gonna keep doing them because I do enjoy doing them. And like I said, they're open. I don't feel stuck in a box while I'm doing them. But yeah, I'm going to do other stuff. But I'm probably not gonna move on until I'm a little more comfortable of exactly where I'm at, you know, money-wise with the whole YouTube thing. Because right now, if I were to just jump off into something else and lose on my viewer count, that would be it. I wouldn't be able to continue doing this. I'd have to go back to work. So I'd have to like get a job like a normal person. So as of right now, it's sustaining my livelihood. So I'm sticking with it. But once I don't really need it anymore, I'm okay with moving on to something else and then making that like one of many different types of videos I make rather than like the only thing I make. You know, if you can have any superpower, what would it be? Something fucking broken. Why would you ever choose something not broken if you got to have a superpower? Think about it. If you're the one being asked, like, hey, you can have any superpower, you get one, choose. Like, oh, I want to be able to fly. Why the fuck would you do that? If you're being asked that question, you got to imagine that someone else is being asked that question. And if that person is being asked that question who lives on the other side of the country decides, you know what, I hate all of humanity. I want the power to just murder everyone just by saying that they're dead and they all die, right? You're going to want something to be able to deal with that situation. So you pick the most broken shit you can possibly pick and then go with that. The power I would pick is probably, what would it be? It would be like a god of stories. What's that power? Like, you could control stories and like what happens. Whatever that power is. I just feel like I don't even think I would even really use it all that much. I would just use it when like really awful things happen, you know? And even like, okay, let's say 9/11 happened, right? And because 9/11 happened, that meant that somebody somewhere went through some sort of massive character development and that person's life is now better in some sort of horrible, fucked up way. Like the tragedies that happen in our lives could make us better people. So if you remove all the tragedies, those people aren't going to become those better people. So there's people who would argue that sometimes the tragedies are good things because overall they put us in a better place. Well, if I control all of stories, I can have those horrible things not happen, but still give those people that character development, and everyone could just like be awesome without all of the horrible tragedies to build them into better people. So, you know, not the best writing for like a real story, but for reality, it would probably be for the best. How much time goes into the average video? Well, I kind of have a system. So I wake up at about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I start filming my first video. Usually filming time is about double whatever the final product is. So if you're watching an hour-long video, usually it took me about 2 hours to film that video. The first day I filmed the whole video, and then I spend that whole day editing all of the audio together. And that's it. That's all I do that day. Next day, I overlay all of the images on top of the audio, and that's the second day, and then I post it the following morning. So it's basically like a 2-day process, and on the third day that morning, the video releases. When that video releases on that day, that is when I begin starting my next video. So basically all my videos come out 2 days apart. If a video comes out after 3 days or 4 days, is because something happened in my day-to-day life that I just couldn't work on the normal schedule. But how it's supposed to work is basically every 2 days I come out with a new video. That's my general thing that I do. And the only reason why I'm capable of doing it like this is because I am not currently working. If at any point this doesn't work out and I have to go back and have a 40-hour job, it's gonna go back to me having like one video come out every 2 weeks. I can only work with this consistency because this is basically my only job right now. Is your editing self-taught? What editing system do you use? And what would you recommend for beginners? So no, my editing is not self-taught for the most part. I did take an editing class in college where I learned the basics. However, when I came back to do it for YouTube, it was like 10 years later and I essentially had to reteach myself how to use it on a totally different program. And I really didn't remember most of the shit that I had learned in college. So kind of, sort of self-taught in a manner of speaking. What editing system do I use? iMovie, because that's just what was on the computer and I didn't go out to spend any money on it. Like I said, when I first did this, it wasn't something I had planned on doing to make money. It was just something to get me out of bed in the morning. And I just started editing shit on my $70 laptop with whatever it had on there. Do I recommend that you use iMovie? Only if you don't plan on spending money, because iMovie is a piece of shit editing system to use. You can't even make your own font and like adjust your font and your location of your font. If you ever watch one of my videos and you notice that the font is at the bottom right of the screen for some reason, it's because that's the font they have and you can't move it around in the screen. It just has to stay there. You don't get to pick transitions for fonts and all sorts of stuff like that. It's not an option on the editing program. And that's just one thing, but there's all manner of shitty things with the editing. It sucks. It's terrible. I don't remember what editing system I was using in college, but it was a lot better than the one that I use now. This one's shit. At some point, once I get to the point that I'm making a lot of money and I can actually buy a lot of equipment, like I get a professional mic and all that kind of stuff, I'll buy a new editing software, I'll buy a better computer, buy a better camera, because the camera that I'm using is just on my phone. This is what I do right here. I just walk back and forth in this room and talk into my phone, and then I take all of that footage and then I edit it together and then I put something over it so you don't have to see me, because I haven't fucking showered or nothing. I just woke up, ate breakfast, and started doing this. That's my whole process. Do you need a voice actor for anything? Not at the moment, currently, but give me a message, send me something, join the Discord, send me your number, whatever. Get in touch with me in some way, because it's never a bad thing to have a group of artists that you can essentially call upon if you get any new ideas or anything. So yeah, if you can draw, or you're good at like recording music and doing audio or really anything and you want to collaborate in some way, give me a fucking call. At the moment, no. But in the future, yeah, absolutely, probably, possibly. Just let me know what you're interested in and I will try and do my best to find something to basically take advantage of your talents. If given the chance, would you replace your community? There was a couple of questions where I was asked this, and I feel like I was asked because a lot of times you go into my comment section, there's a lot of people who are like mad at me about not getting things right. And like I said before, I don't really consider them a part of the community. They're just scalers and I go out of my way to piss off scalers, so that doesn't bother me. I just kind of find it funny that they didn't get the joke. As far as the actual community that I'm building goes, no. I mean, the vast majority of my comments are relatively nice and good and cool, and like I feel like I've done a relatively good job at putting forward a persona that it's totally cool if you can make jokes about whatever, you can talk about whatever, you can laugh, and everyone can just kind of have a good time. No one has to worry about about saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing. It's like, it's fine. It's all just for fun. And if you go to the Discord server, there's like almost, I don't know, 700, 600 people in the Discord server. That's basically what it all is. Everyone just says and does whatever they want. They just talk and everything's chill. So no, I wouldn't replace my community. If you were to ask me if I would replace my community with, say, I don't know, the critical drinkers community, right? No, I wouldn't. He has a vastly larger community than I do, but his community seems like they're all fucking miserable. Like, they're just so angry all the time. You ever read the fucking comments of one of his videos? They're not angry at him, but they're just angry in general at everything. Angry at art, angry at Hollywood, angry at... And it's just like, bro, things are not that difficult. If you don't like movies, get a camera, shoot a movie. If you don't like comics, write your own. If you don't like books, write your own book. Like, go make the things that you want to see. We need creative people to do this. It doesn't help you just sitting around bitching about shit all the time that you don't like. The world is full of interesting, creative people that can do interesting, creative things. And honestly, reality is just too goddamn funny to go through it so fucking miserable all the time. Just do what you want to do. It's fine. And I feel like my audience, for the most part, does that. So we're good. You said in one of your videos that you went to college for writing. What influenced that decision? No, I did not go to college for writing. I went to college for film, technically, and I had a minor in psychology because I took enough electives in psychology that they just said you could minor in it, and I was like, oh, cool, all right, I guess so. But yeah, no, I went for film, and what influenced that decision was my dad, who has this very hard belief that you can't be successful unless you go to college, and I had to take a loan out in my name to go to college to make him happy. It was a whole thing, and if I could do it again, I wouldn't have gone. I am not a college person. I don't like college. I didn't like college. I didn't finish college. And what I wanted to do at the time was just make stories and movies and write and do that kind of stuff, and you don't really need to go to college for that kind of shit, but I did. So yeah. If I had the brain of me now back then, my dad could have said whatever the fuck he wanted to. I wouldn't have gone to college. Who would be your top 3 creators to do a collaboration with, and why? Oh, shit. I don't know. The View. Yeah, it would just be funny to roast them for 10 minutes straight in an interview and them just not get the joke, you know? I think that would be very funny. But I don't know, I guess whoever has like the biggest audience, Joe Rogan, you know, whoever, I don't know. Let's be clear. Yes, I would like to do collaborations with other people in the future. I like surrounding myself with other creative people and then coming together and creating things and making things and doing stuff. There's this one place, what's his name? Jazzy something. He's like an artist and he does like I would really like to talk to him. I'm sure I got his name wrong. It's like Jazzy something, but he draws shit and he has a drawing channel. And yeah, I'd like to talk to him, maybe meet some artists through him. You know, just anyone who can help me create more things, you know, because I like creating shit. That's what I enjoy doing. I also wouldn't mind like going on someone's podcast who talks about art or talks about movies or video games or whatever. Maybe one day forming a podcast of my own and having other people come to my channel. I think collaboration is important for growth. I think if you want to grow as a person and get better at whatever it is you're doing, you need to surround yourself with people who are more intelligent than you at whatever it is you're trying to do. If you're an amazing artist, the best way to improve is surround yourself with better artists. If you're a writer or a boxer or a bicyclist, it really doesn't matter. Surround yourself with people who are better than you are. That's like one of the most important things for improvement. Don't surround yourself with people that you're better than. So I don't really have any names off the top of my head because, like I said, I don't really spend a whole lot of time on YouTube, but absolutely, yes, I would love to do collaborations in the future with other people, expand my audience, expand what I know and who I talk to, and then get with other artists to create cool shit. Whether that be musicians, artists, directors, writers, whatever. Because at the end of the day, the thing that I've always wanted to do, like long-term shit, right now I'm writing a comic book and I'm cool with that. And then eventually maybe I'd like to make a web series, or even longer than that, maybe be a showrunner of my own television show. Like, there's things I would like to do other than just make survival challenges. And you kind of have to collaborate in order to have any of that shit happen. So it's kind of a must. But yeah, I don't have any names off the top of my head right now. If there's one thing you could change in the world, what would it be? Oh, that's easy. the demonization of ambition and excellence. It's a very important thing within our world, just in general and as a society, that we prop up the people who are skilled, who are talented, who are good at doing things, who excel beyond what the average person can. I don't think you should demonize rich people for being good at making money. I don't think you should demonize athletes for being amazing. I think that people should be propped up if they are ridiculously good at something and the best of the best. I don't think that we should praise mediocrity. I am not a participation trophy kind of person. I don't think for 1 second we should ever spread this bullshit about everybody being equally awesome and great. No. Some people are better than others. Some people are more useful to our society than others. Some people are worth aspiring to be like, and those people should be held above others. Equality is bullshit. The modern idea of what equality is has poisoned our society into just absolute fucking mediocrity, and it needs to be torn out like a fucking tumor. Can you spell roast 10 times fast and then tell me what goes in a toaster? Yeah, okay. Roast my dick. Can you spell ICUP? Yes, I can. What take do you have that's most likely to get you killed? Well, I don't know about getting me killed, but one that I have that I know most people won't agree with is that morality does not belong in politics in any way, shape, or form. Politics should have all of the humanity ripped out of it and be completely replaced with fucking AI. Why? Because nobody can agree on what the fuck morality is. You got people on the right and people at the left shouting at each other and throwing shit at each other and trying to kill each other because they both completely disagree on what is moral and what is not. So obviously, we don't have that shit cracked down quite yet. The decisions that are made in politics to make society better should not be based on some subjective view of what is moral and what is not. It should be based solely on what helps that society flourish and succeed for the most amount of people. Pretty much every law you pass, no matter what it is gonna fuck some group. There is no perfect answer. But if you can make a society that makes it really, really, really shitty for the small percentage of people, but awesome for everybody else, that's about as good as we're gonna get. Because otherwise, nobody's happy, everyone's living in misery, and everything sucks. What is the plan for the Rougaverse in terms of scale? Do you plan on just making one book or more? So the thought in my head right now is a hardcover graphic novel. It's going to be a thick book. It's going to have a beginning, middle, and end with a possibility that maybe there could be a sequel. That's step one. You got to get the first book out. But after that, do I plan on continuing it? If it's successful, yeah, of course. I mean, I could write it for the next 20 years. It doesn't bother me. Explore the world, explore different characters, build a sort of universe. I mean, that's every writer's dream, is to build their own awesome, expansive universe. Maybe even hire on other very talented writers to do spin-offs and things like that. That would be awesome. But right now, I mean, the first book's not even done. So you got to write the first book, get it out, get it published, get people reading it, get it in people's hands, and if they like it and it makes money, then we got to see where we go from there. So right now, one book, but with the possibility of more in the future. How are you making so many videos in such a small time frame? Are you living on Monster Energy? Basically, I don't sleep. That's essentially all it is. And this isn't a YouTube thing. I've never really had a whole lot of success when it comes to sleeping. I generally only sleep about 4 hours a night, and my body and mind are insanely hyperactive. I have to be moving and doing something. I constantly have ideas popping in my head. They're not all good ideas, but they're ideas, and it sort of makes making YouTube videos very, very easy. I'm never going to get to a point where I just have like a brain fart and I can't think of another video to make, and I don't really get burned out the same way that a lot of people do. It's just a sort of hyperactiveness on top of a lack of ability to sleep that allows me to just constantly work on videos without really any issues. Now, if I had a full-time job, this would not be the case, but right now, this is all I'm doing. If at any point this channel does not succeed and I have to go back to work, you'll see the video release schedule spread out a bit. But for now, yeah, I'm off. So I can just keep doing this shit. And I don't really take off days for the most part. Like last week was the first week that I actually decided to take legitimate off days. Sunday is now my off day. But before that, I didn't really have off days because I don't know what to do with them. I feel like I gotta be doing something at all times. So yeah, but that's how I make videos so quickly. I just constantly film, constantly edit, and I don't really sleep all that much. A lot of times, a video that releases at 8 o'clock in the morning, which is what time all of my videos release, I may have finished editing that video 4 hours beforehand, and then, went to sleep and woke up before the fucking video even aired, you know what I mean? So, no, not Monster Energy. I don't drink energy drinks. Is there a video format you'd like to do but haven't done yet? I'd like to make a web series at some point. Would be kind of cool. Like, I've seen myself sort of in the future making a pilot and then releasing a pilot on the channel, just seeing how it's doing, you know, just like get a couple of actors, give them a little bit of money and be like, hey, let's try this sort of little short film. And then if that works, then just spin off that short film into a larger series. Like, that would be cool. Other than that, I don't know, maybe like a podcast. I'd have to find someone to have a good podcast with, like someone who I know would always have something interesting to say and talk about. I've actually had people approach me about possibly making a podcast for years, since pretty much high school. People say that I say funny shit when I talk, so they're like, hey, I want to make a podcast with you. But, you know, we could never agree on what the podcast would focus on, what would be about, and I just never quite blended with them quite so well. Because you have to get two people that really have good chemistry with each other in order to have like a good podcast. And the only person really in all of existence on the planet that I have that good a chemistry with that I can make a podcast with currently lives in Portland, and I am in Louisiana. So it's not viable at the moment, but at some point maybe. We'll see. Favorite guilty pleasure food? Nothing. I feel guilty about nothing that I eat. I eat whatever I want, whenever I want, and no one is going to make me feel guilty about it. I wouldn't go out of my way to look for human meat to eat, you know, like I wouldn't do that. But if I was at a party and they were serving it and it just happened to be there, I'd try it. I'd give it a taste. What is the game that you put the most hours in? Ooh, I don't know. Maybe Mass Effect 2. Maybe. I beat Mass Effect 2 6 times, and I think that's probably the most I've ever spent on anything. I'm not really the type of person to just like play a game for years and years and years on end. Kind of the same way where I get bored with YouTube video topics and got to move on to something new, or you know, I can't really stay still and I can't really just do one thing for very long. Like I have to keep doing something else. It's sort of the same way with video games. If you talk to me now, I might be playing, you know, 5-6 different games. You talk to me 6 months from now, I'm gonna have a totally different list of games that I'm playing. I'm not the type of person who will play Call of Duty for like a year or 2 years straight until the next Call of Duty comes out, right? I'm just not gonna put that much time onto it. In fact, there are so many games that I start playing, I get like 70% of the way through, and then before I finish it, something else comes out and my focus goes on there, and I just never go back to finish that last, you know, 20-30%. I still haven't beaten Stellar Blade, Baldur's Gate 3, and like, I don't know, there's like 5 or 6 other things because I just moved on to the next thing. And am I gonna go back to them? I hope I do, but it's very possible that I won't. I have this sort of very hyperactiveness that means that I have to constantly entertain myself with new shit at all times. And that goes a lot farther than just video games. It's jobs. I can't do the same fucking thing over and over for too long, which is why if you look throughout my 20s, I was constantly jumping to new jobs because I would get bored with old jobs and I'd be like, I gotta do something else. So I would go find a new job and do that instead. It's just sort of the way I was. I need some sort of creative outlet where I can do a bunch of different shit, which is why YouTube kind of works out for me pretty well. Because yes, I am doing the same thing and making, you know, videos, but I get to change up what kind of videos I do, how I do them. I have something planned later this week. Hopefully, we'll see. Might get pushed up to next week. That's kind of different than any of the other videos I've made in the past. So, you know, I get to explore and experiment a little more with this, which is probably why I'll stick with it a lot longer than I've pretty much stuck with anything else. Longest job I've ever had was 6 years, and I was only there because I was kind of forced into it, but that's a long story. I'm not going to get into that yet. But yeah, went off topic, but I think it's probably Mass Effect 2 since I beat it 6 times. I think that's the only game I've ever beaten 6 times. DC or Marvel Comics? They're both shit. Just flip a coin, really. Favorite and least favorite members of Avengers and Justice League? Are we doing comics, movies, or just like their general persona across the board? Like with all the continuities put together? Because well, in comics, it kind of depends on who's writing the characters. I guess just if we go overall and just everything you know about the characters across all of like their mythologies, you know, I would probably say favorite for Avengers is Hulk. Least favorite for Avengers is Black Widow. I just find her very boring. Favorite for Justice League is probably between Batman and Superman, leaning towards Batman. I know it's a boring answer, but he just is. And least favorite is Martian Manhunter because, again, I find him quite boring. What is your favorite book you've read that's not a comic book? Like I said, I don't really do favorites, but I know that I used to read a bunch of books when I was a kid, and I absolutely hated it. I constantly fell asleep while reading. I just couldn't get into reading until I eventually, in maybe late grade school, early middle school, read Treasure Island. And to this day, Treasure Island is like one of my favorite books of all time. I don't go back to read books for a second time, so I've still to this day only read that book once. I just don't reread things. I don't reread comics either. But yeah, I really like Treasure Island. But I read all kinds of stuff. I just read whatever I can get my hands on because I like to understand things and know things. I haven't been reading nearly as much as I would like to. Last book I read was last year. I was at work and I heard one of the black workers call his foreman, who was also a black guy, an Uncle Tom. So I got curious and I picked up Uncle Tom's Cabin and read that to see what, like, where that came from. And that was the last book I read. Which, by the way, that's unfair, bro, because Uncle Tom was a good person. Like, he was a hero of the story. He had some flaws, but he's not what people talk about when they call people Uncle Toms. They should be saying Sambo, because Sambo is what that is. Like, Sambo was a black slave who, when black people would try to run off the plantation and escape, he would rat them out and basically say, hey, master, you know, this motherfucker's running away, go get him. And like, he was a traitor to the other slaves. And because of this, the slave master made him an overseer where he can then punish the other slaves. So basically, he was a slave who threw all the other slaves under the bus so that he can get a better position than they had. But all the white people still treated him like shit, and he just like brown-nosed the fuck out of them. And like, he's a disgusting character. He's awful. Call people Sambo. Don't call them Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom was a hero. He saves a little girl and her mother at the end of the book by getting them off the plantation and sacrifice his own life. Why are you insulting Uncle Tom? He's a good dude. I didn't generally like that insult to begin with, but now I really don't like that insult. If you're going to insult somebody, be accurate to the source material. That's all I'm saying. What are your aspirations for the channel now that you've hit this milestone? Well, to be honest with you, I don't actually consider this as much of a milestone. I mean, yes, I've made 100 videos, but that doesn't mean that those 100 videos are successful. Like, the part that's the milestone is the subscriber count, the viewership numbers, and the sweet, sweet money. Those are really where the milestones are. And as far as that goes, I'm just going to keep trying to pump those numbers up and get as many viewers and as many subscribers as possible, because then I can do whatever I want. I can write and make a comic book and run a Kickstarter where people will actually donate money and then sell them a comic book. I can create a web series and I'll have a built-in audience that may actually be interested in watching it. I could essentially turn this YouTube channel into a vehicle to get people interested in like the shit that I create, so that when I go out to make shit that I really am passionate about and really want to make, and stories and shit, I'll already have the built-in audience and I don't have to constantly fight to build one already. It's just sort of pre-built, so that's nice. So my aspirations haven't really changed from what it was before. Just keep building the channel, keep getting my name out there, keep getting people to like and subscribe and comment and do all that kind of stuff, so that I can then do bigger and better and more awesome shit in the future. What's your closest near-death experience? Oh, fuck. There's so many I can't even name. I've been shot at 4 times. I've been stabbed once. I've been hit by a car. I've been thrown out of a window. I had a rock smashed over my head. I got a big ass gash scar, and a piece of the rock is actually lodged into my skull. They didn't take it out. They just left it there, so it's still there. One time while climbing up Mount Hood, I fell, and I fell about 35, 40 feet and landed on some rocks. I was fine, by the way. Just a couple of scrapes, nothing too bad. I don't know if it's the way I fell or what, but I was fine. If I really went through it, I mean, there's so much shit. I was not the smartest person growing up, and I did all kinds of stupid shit that I really shouldn't have done. I sold drugs, I got into fist fights for money, just all kinds of shit that I shouldn't have been involved in. It just kind of is what it is. I don't know what my closest near-death experience is. I've got bare minimum 15 of them. Are your testicles okay? Did you get sufficient help? Okay, I need to kind of cover this, because every time I say something in my videos, people are always like, oh my God, You gotta stop taking what I say in my videos so seriously. Did I lose my testicle inside my body? Which is something that I said at the beginning of one of my videos as a joke. I did when I was a kid once, but when I said it in the video, it was just a joke. The videos are satire. Like, you know how when you watch a YouTube video and the guy comes on, he's like, oh, sorry if my voice sounds weird, I was a little sick earlier, blah, blah, blah. And how many times have you seen that in the video? Well, I decided to do something similar where I came on, but instead of being sick, it was something like ridiculous. Like, I lost my testicle inside my body. It was just for fun, guys. I'm fine. Whenever you see me in those videos get angry or say some shit, like I've entered a video on multiple intros and talked about how I was high on cocaine while I was doing the video. It doesn't mean that I'm actually high on cocaine. You gotta understand that to a certain extent, I'm sort of playing a character. I mean, it is me. That is the shit that I'm saying. But in a lot of ways, I'm sort of playing a hyper-exaggerated version of myself in the videos. So don't freak out every time I say something like that. It's fine. I'm fine. The tone of the videos is supposed to be light and fun. I don't want to say something and have you guys freaking out the whole time, being like, oh my God, this guy needs like testicle surgery the whole time you're watching. Don't worry about that. Just enjoy the video. It's not a real thing. I promise. I'm fine. Now that you're coming up on 20,000 subscribers, how does it feel? Is the pressure to constantly keep growing starting to hit? No, I mean, I don't see why there would be pressure. I kind of view the subscribers as like a video game. Like each subscriber is an experience point, right? And getting to 20,000 is just the next level up. And that's it. So I kind of view the whole YouTube experience as being like a simulation game, a puzzle game, and an RPG all rolled into one. I have to figure out what the algorithm wants. I have to figure out what people want in general, and the best way to give them those things to make those experience points come up. And that just keeps me engaged because I'm forced by just what the job is to just, you know, keep mixing it up and try new things to see what works and what doesn't. And yeah, there's no pressure. It's just sort of part of it, you know? I'm cool with it. It is what it is. If anything, it sort of takes some of the stress off because I don't have to worry about, oh, well, I gotta get a video now after work or some shit because I'm not working. This is my job. So it sort of gives me a little more freedom to do whatever I want to do, you know? Boobs or butt? But not even close. Not a competition at all. I have dated way more black women than I have white women. A lot of that is due to circumstances because I'm in a city that is 60% black people, so it's just sort of what's commonly available to me. But because of that, there's a certain body type that I have become more accustomed to, and that is butt over boobs. I do very much like me a nice, large, round butt. How'd you get so good at writing? I'm assuming you're talking about the Rougaverse and not the videos, because the videos are completely unscripted. I've never once wrote a single line for any video that I've ever made. I just put on a camera and start saying some goofy shit, and then I edit it all together and release it. So no writing there. If you're talking about the Rougaverse, you just write. People a lot of times will talk about how they have writer's block, how they just don't have any ideas to write. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if there are people out there that don't have ideas. I know for myself, I constantly have an influx of all manner of ideas, and you just write them. You're always going to have an idea, right? Like, okay, off the top of my head, there's a fucking cat. Why not? Cats. Let's make a story about a cat. What's in the story for the cat? Cat's got to go to the supermarket and buy some milk. He's walking to the supermarket and buys some milk. Oh, he runs into a pack of dogs. Oh no, the pack of dogs have a fucking spaceship. Oh shit, where did they get the spaceship? Because aliens came down and offered them this spaceship to test dog kind, to see how well they would do, and they've squandered it and used it to start robbing cats on their way to the milk market. And actually, the story's not about the cat going to the milk market, it's about this dog and his guilt for squandering this opportunity for dog kind. And you can keep doing that for 30 minutes. Just keep making shit up and expanding and growing, because the hard part isn't coming up with ideas. The hard part is deciding what is a good idea and what is a bad idea. So the shit that I just said was a fuck ton of just random bullshit ideas, most of which were bad. Just take the bad ones out and you've got a fucking story there. It's super, super easy. I'm not a fucking teacher. I can't tell you how to write well. But in my experience, if you sit down and you just start writing shit, and you start making stories, and you start thinking about characters, and you start breaking down characters, like break down your favorite characters, why do you like them? Break down your favorite stories, why do you like those? Anything that you spend time doing, you're going to get really, really good at. If you spend a lot of time thinking about something, you're going to get better at it just because you're thinking about it. If you're constantly thinking about stories and how they relate to one another and how they evolve and what can happen next in stories, you're going to just get better at doing it. The problem isn't not being able to come up with shit. The problem is not spending enough time actually doing it. So, you know, spend that time. I'm sorry if that wasn't helpful, but that's really all I did. I don't have any particular story or writing training. I just sort of write a lot, so you just figure shit out. Waffles or pancakes? When I order them or I get them, I usually do pancakes, but it's not necessarily because of preference, because I like waffles just as much. Actually, if I had to choose, fritters are better than both of them bitches. So next time you're out, get yourself a fucking fritter. There used to be a diner down the street from my house that had a banana nut fritter. Dear Lord, was that shit good. Will you use Rougaverse characters in future videos? You mean like a survival challenge? Probably not, because I feel like making a survival challenge based around a character that I created is kind of biased. Like, you just can't possibly watch that video and think that I'm not biased. There's no way around it. I created the fucking characters. Having said that, that doesn't mean I won't use the Rougaverse shit for any videos at all. I don't know what they would be, but probably not survival challenges. It wouldn't happen until after everything's already published anyway, though. Like, you'd have to have a physical copy of the book where everyone could read it before I actually start making videos about characters and shit in it. I'm not gonna do it when the damn thing is still in fucking production. So, as of right now, maybe? What made you start the Versus series? It's not a Versus series, it's a survival challenge. There is a difference. I'd like to make that clear. But also nothing. I was just doing a bunch of random shit, and that just happened to be one of the random ideas that popped in my head. That's really as simple as it is. And then the first one took off, so I made another one, I made another one, I made another one, and now here we are a couple months later. And there's just a fuck ton of them because that just happens to be one of the videos that took off. If I had made some sort of review for a television show and that was the thing that popped off, I'd probably be doing a bunch of reviews for television shows right now. But instead I decided to make a satire video on scaling and versus battle shit. So that's where we are. What are you looking forward to in the future? The sweet release of death.